the June 26th meeting of the Sandusky City Commission. Prior to tonight's meeting, we'll have an invocation offered by Commissioner Waddington, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
God our Father, as we gather for this meeting tonight, give us a guidance and wisdom to make the proper decisions. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Presser, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Twine? Here. Mr. Waddington?
Here.
Ms. Lloyd? Here. Mr. Brady?
Here.
Mr. Lockhart?
Here.
Mr. Poole?
Here.
And Mr. Murray's absent.
I will ask for a motion to excuse Commissioner Murray from tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Hearing no objection, Mr. Murray is excused. Okay, I have a motion to accept the minutes of the June 12th meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Twine.
I move that we accept the minutes of the June 12th meeting and dispense with the formal reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second without objection. Will be approved. Hearing no objection, that motion is approved. Audience participation. Anyone wishing to address items on the agenda? Agenda items only. Please step to the microphone. Share with us your name and your address for the record.
Thank you, Mayor, for the evening. Mr. Brady. Tim Schwanger, 362 Sheffield Way. This may be the first time anybody's asked a question on the consent agenda, so I don't know how you're going to handle that, but we'll find out. Number C, I think it's E, which is the appropriations amendment number 3. When we get to that point, maybe we can specify what those amendments entail for each one of those projects that are listed. Thank you.
That was item E?
Yeah, item E under the consent agenda, yeah, because I'm not seeing it on the actual agenda itself, what the amendments are, if there's additional money, or maybe we're actually saving some money, who knows?
Thank you, Mr. Schwanger.
Yep.
Anyone else? This is your opportunity on items on the that are on the agenda. Seeing no one else, we will move to, we have two presentations this evening. First by Columbia Gas, Ms. Jill McGinn. Ms. McGinn, welcome. Ms. McGinn is going to share with us an exciting program that I have briefly read about that I believe will benefit our residents by saving them a considerable amount of money and perhaps improving their energy efficiency.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Jill McGinn, as he mentioned. I am here with a few of my colleagues on behalf of Columbia Gas of Ohio, and we are here to share with you some exciting news. Sandusky has recently been selected as one of 9 cities in the whole entire state of Ohio for a program that we call a Neighborhood Pride Program. And we actually are here on behalf of Columbia Gas of Ohio's energy efficiency programs. And what the energy efficiency programs provide our customers is our opportunities to save money on their monthly utility bills, make their homes more comfortable and potentially more quiet, as well as reduce their carbon footprint. So the way that we do these things are through home energy audits. For those of you that are not familiar with a home energy audit, it entails a couple of different things. And let me back up and say that all of these details that I'm about to share, they are eligible for Columbia Gas of Ohio customers that are owner-occupied homes, renters, landlords, and buildings that up to 4 units. And so there's quite a few different opportunities for residents to participate. So when we come in and do a home energy audit, and I'd like to add that they are available at night and on the weekends for those of you that can't experience one during the daytime. We do safety checks of all the gas appliances. We install a few energy-saving measures, for example, a programmable thermostat, a low-flow shower head, and faucet aerators, if the home would benefit from those things. And then we also take some different measurements. For example, we use a blower door test, we use infrared thermography, and we look to see how the particular home could be more energy efficient. Now, at the end of that home energy audit, we provide the homeowner with a home energy report. There's no obligation to move any further after that report is provided. However, if the customer is inclined to move forward and install the upgrades and make their home more energy efficient, Columbia Gas actually helps contribute to those upgrades. What is specifically particular to the city of Sandusky that a lot of other cities in the state don't have the opportunity to experience is that the cost of the audit for a Columbia Gas customer outside of Sandusky, the cost is $50. However, just by virtue of being in Sandusky, the fee is only $20. And the greatest benefit of this particular program, being a neighborhood pride community, is should we recommend insulation measures, for example, insulation, wall insulation, attic insulation, or air sealing, the most that a customer would pay to install all of those recommended measures is $300. So it doesn't matter if we recommend 100 square feet, 5,000 square feet, it really doesn't matter. If you live in Sandusky and we recommend that your home be weatherized in those fashions, the max that you will pay or contribute is $300. Now, it's not a rebate that you have to pay for the service and then send in and then be reimbursed. It's actually an instant discount. And then also, the other opportunity for Sandusky residents is if we recommend a furnace, if the home would benefit from an upgrade of a furnace, we instant discount $1,000 off of that furnace. So as you can see, there's a couple of different ways to make these upgrades more affordable. And we do have a participating contractor network, so we offer a number of contractors for you to use. We don't tell you who you have to use, but we do give you some options because we want to make sure that the people that we're sending into the customers' homes are background checked, trained, and have, we want to make sure that we're comfortable and you're comfortable with who we're sending into your home. And then we also do a quality control check of 10% of the jobs that we perform because we want to make sure that the people that we're sending into your home are doing what we recommended and doing it properly. So, and then lastly, I will mention that we want to, the greatest way for this program to be advertised is word of mouth, more so than anything else. So in order to say thank you to customers that recommend a friend or family member to have this done, we send a $20 thank you check. So in essence, if you pay $20 for your home energy audit and then you receive a $20 referral fee, then you're made whole and you have all these experiences at no cost in the end. So that's a very high-level overview. It's a lot of information in a small amount of time. So I would like to take a minute to take questions if anyone has about the program.
Commissioners?
Chairman,
Commissioner Klein?
you mentioned that you would offer a list of contractors. Are they local contractors?
We have a few. We've recently gained a few local contractors as far as the HVAC and the furnace work. We are searching for right now some more local insulation contractors, and so I will stick around after the meeting, and I'd be more than happy if we're having a little bit of a challenge getting a local insulation contractor to come on board with the program, but I would love to get someone local.
Additional questions or comments for Ms. McGuinn?
Okay.
Ms. Bonington, I know that you had some experience with a very similar program to this while you were in Elyria. Would you share with us your take on that and your experience with that?
Yes, through you, Mr. President. When I worked for the city of Elyria, we did work with Columbia Gas on this. We actually had some leverage funds that we put into it. However, the program in general is spectacular. Many residents took advantage of it. It started off a little slow. I think the public thought it was too good to be true, but once it started going, as was stated, word of mouth, the program just spread very quickly, and the residents were really happy with it. So it's a great program.
Thank you, Ms. McGuinn. It sounds like there's no downside to this. I think that's probably what you're going to fight is the concept that this is too good to be true.
Right.
And I don't think that it is. I think this is could be a wonderful program for every strata of our residents. So I would encourage people to take advantage of that.
Great. So thank you so much for your support and allowing us to come tonight. And as we look forward to working together to help the community.
Thank you. Thank you. Our second presentation tonight is by our own Talon Floor regarding a project that he's involved in with Leadership County. Talon, your microphone is yours.
All right, thanks, Commissioner, and thank the citizens of Sandusky for watching us tonight. We just are going to talk a little bit about our fundraiser we have going on for Leadership Erie County, specifically for the Nehemiah Center. So basically, I started working for the city about a year ago, and I kept hearing that the Nehemiah Center was somewhere I needed to check out. So I finally got over there. A couple weeks later, it was their summer program. They had a bunch of kids playing around, block party, food everywhere. One of their kids gave me a tour, and all you got to do is spend a little bit of time there to really understand how special it is. But we thought it would be more impactful if we let the kids speak for themselves. So we've got a video to play for you.
I've been going here for 6 years, and I've gotten to know everybody, and I've made good friends.
I just love coming here because they do stuff for us. You get to help the people cook and pass out food.
You get to express who you are. We learn a lot, and I like reading books here. It helps us so we stay out of trouble, so we don't do stuff bad.
I got a lot of friends here, and they are so nice to me. I'm not trying to be rude, but really everybody does a good job here. So I want to say what they really do.
I think it's so important to have a safe environment for kids to come to, especially during the danger zone hours, which after school is usually between 3:30 and 7 o'clock. So as a safe place and a good environment for kids to come to where they can feel that they're getting some kind of structure, they're having fun, and they're around a lot of love. It's a lot of love at Nehemiah. I'm very passionate and very protective of the Nehemiah Center and this program. It never leaves my thoughts. It never leaves my heart.
It doesn't matter what other people say about you, because if you believe in yourself, you won't have to worry about them.
My thing is just to give back. You know, I've come through a lot of different storms in my life, and so in these last 20 years of my life, I've been able to get on the right track. And, you know, when I get up in the morning, I think about who am I going to help today.
When we look at these children, we don't know what they're going through when they're at home. Sometimes you could tell on their little faces when they come in, you know, they just need a hug.
I think all kids, they need a positive outlet, and this is a positive place for the kids to come.
And I've got kids that have shared some really, really tough things. Some of our kids that come here are put in positions where they feel they have to be the one that holds their family together, you know, and that's a tough place to be a kid. We tell our kids, you don't have to come here, you get to come here. This is a free program where we offer all of these things and all these experiences to these kids, and then we feed them an awesome hot meal. So some kids might not even come the entire day, but they'll come for that hot meal at 6 o'clock. And that's okay. You know, we just want to make sure that you know this is where you can come to.
I love coming here, and we play basketball, we do activities, Bible class.
You get to do stuff fun and do your homework and eat good food. Because mostly when I come here, there's no trouble.
We get to play games. We like to play in the gym, and we like to do stuff with Miss Tandra and stuff in the art room.
Miss Tandra shows us a lot of love. A lot. She cares.
And I think my purpose here in this wonderful city of Sandusky, which I love so much, is to help this emerging generation and for them to be successful. However, whatever it means, it might just mean the fact that I'm opening the doors here. Could be something that, you know, one of these kids say, you know, I used to never have any place to go after school until the doors at Nehemiah were open 7 years ago.
So as you can see, it's a very touching and great program for our community. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass the mic to my group members and Tandra to let them talk a little bit more about the event we're having.
Okay, well, hello. First, I want to thank everyone here for allowing us to have this time to share about Nehemiah and the collaboration with the leadership Erie County. It was a great pleasure and an honor for this team. This is an awesome team. We're missing Joe Beauty and Seth And when they came to offer this opportunity to raise the money for this air conditioning in the gym, it was a godsend, because that is part of the reason why we can't offer any programming in the the summer months. If they came to our open house or a sneak peek, it was in the warm month. And I think the block party is always in July, and the summer program is always in July. But we have to get out of that building by noon, 1 o'clock the latest, because it's so hot. It would be great to, we are really looking to expand our program and offer, programming all year round. We got a big building at the Campbell School property, and it is a building that the community loves. The kids surely love it. We're going into our 8th year. I came in that building in 2010, not with the idea that I would be standing here in front of you almost 8 years later. This program has gone from 6 kids in one room to now over 70 kids. We have 123 kids as of today signed up for summer camp, which starts July 5th and goes 4 weeks in July. But again, the heat that is in that gym alone, just in the gym, is we can't be in that building. I have a lot of calls that come through. The people in the community want to do birthday parties in the gym. They want to do receptions or have all kind of functions in there, but we can't allow that because it's too hot. And so this is part of why I thought the leadership of Erie County did a great job choosing Nehemiah to raise funds for, and it will offer a lot of benefits to the community, not just to the Nehemiah program, but to the community as a whole. So thank you guys, and hope you enjoyed that video. Those kids are everything. Those are our emerging generation, and they love our city. And the more that Nehemiah can offer programming and different opportunities and experiences for them to stay here. I got 3 graduates of our comeback kids that just happened in 2017, the kids that started in the 5th grade. And they're graduating, but they all say when they get out of college, they're coming back, because part of it is Nehemiah in this city. So thank you, and I'm going to pass it over to Ryan. All right.
Yeah, so as was alluded to, for our Leadership Erie County project this year, we really wanted to work with Nehemiah, and we will be raising around $50,000 to purchase 3 high-efficiency HVAC systems just for the gym portion of the Campbell School building. I think any of you who have attended Campbell School can appreciate how warm it gets in there. So our campaign kicks off with an event on July 21st. We're doing a charity auction and concert at the Elks. So we thank you for your support, and I guess with that, that's right. I guess that concludes our presentation.
Thank you. Commissioner, do you have any questions for either the Nehemiah Center or for Leadership Erie County? Comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Poole.
don't have any questions. Just thoroughly appreciate the contribution of the Nehemiah Center. It's very, very important to the community. Likewise, Leadership Erie County, the same concept. The project you took on last year was impressive, and you folks are truly supportive of our community, and we really appreciate it.
Additional comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Klein.
I want to thank this group here for what you're doing with the Nehemiah Center. I think our young people, as Tondra talked about, need places like the Nehemiah Center, so they have places to go to. And sometimes, like you said, they just need a safe place to go to. So I think the city of Sandusky is well served by what you do. And Leadership Erie County also is a great program. So thank you for what you do.
I want to echo both of my colleagues' comments. The intersecting of both Leadership of Erie County and the Nehemiah Center is terrific. You found each other at exactly the right time. Leadership Erie County has provided so many great ideas and has brought so much value to this community. And the Nehemiah Center also. It occurred to me that we always have skeptics in a community. You'll have people who will say, you're not going to make it. You can't make it. It's a giveaway program. It won't last. You've proved them wrong. And by proving them wrong, you've made a difference in hundreds of kids' lives. That's what makes a community. So we're thrilled that you're partnering, and we hope you get the air conditioning, and we will support. We'll certainly support you in your fundraiser.
Well, thank you, and that brings us to a point. Vicky has tickets right now. They're $20. They used to be $35, but they're $20. So if you want to see her, buy a ticket.
We'll figure out a way to do that.
Miss that opportunity.
Thanks for being here.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next order of business tonight is a public hearing on the 2018 tax budget. And as this is a public hearing, we will, when Mr. Solo is done with his dynamic presentation, we will take questions from both commission and from the audience because it is a public hearing. Mr. Soloway, make it as interesting as you can.
I will make it brief. How about that?
That would be better.
So the purpose of tonight, as part of our annual audit, we're required to have a public hearing and approve our tax budget. The Ohio Revised Code spells out what information is required to be in the tax budget. So the attachments are, obviously there's a ton of numbers in it, so it's spelled out by law what we have to have in there. And just to give some context to this, prior to 2011, the Erie County Budget Commission used to waive this requirement. So ever since then, they've decided not to waive it. We have to do a formal hearing and approve the tax budget. Probably the only time of the year I would not get too worked up over the numbers, just because it's more of a compliance requirement than more diving into the details of anything. And according to the Erie County Budget Commission, the three main reasons why we submit a tax budget: it helps the county auditor in setting the property tax rates, it helps the county auditor in allocating the local government funds, and it just starts the process for planning for next year. Just a quick reminder on the overall time frame of our budget. According to our charter, section 50, the real first draft is due by November 1st, the city commission, and even that one is always kind of a work in progress. The real budget obviously starts to cement a little more as we get into January, February, March, and before the end of March, by law, we have to have our final budget approved. So that's kind of the overall context of why we do it, what's in it, what it's for. And the only other thing I just wanted to point out is just more of a plug as far as our transparency and the amount of information that we have available online now compared to where we were just even 10 years ago. You can go onto our website and download our monthly financial report, our annual comprehensive financial report, our finance committee agendas, the finance committee minutes. Our audit reports are available on the state auditor's website, and we're also part of the ohiocheckbook.com initiative through the state treasurer's office. So I think we're probably the most transparent political subdivision in Erie County. I always say that when I do this. I just don't think there's anybody else that puts as much out there as we do. So there's a wealth of information. I just encourage everybody just to check it out and contact us if you ever have any questions. So with that, I open it up to commission and the public for any comments, and then we'll go from there.
Thanks, Mr. Soloway. I will ask for comments or questions from commission, and then we will open it up to the audience. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments concerning the 2018 budget?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Poole?
I got the overview, and I think for the question that was asked at the beginning, what does this mean? I'm looking at what do these numbers represent? I mean, how does this fit into the overall budget? You've added, I'm not sure what you did, whether you added, subtracted, or what you actually told us here. Personal services versus other and a total. Trying to give the public an idea why we do this, other than that we are told to do
I
it.
think you jumped ahead to consent agenda item.
Am I on the wrong one?
Yes, you are. This is just on the tax budget.
okay.
So I will talk about Tim's question when we
Oh,
get to
okay.
it, but I don't think this is it, so.
Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize.
No,
It shows how confusing the accountant's
We always make
job is.
Very confusing.
Yeah, I clicked and said, okay, all
I
right.
knew that Mr. Soloway would make it interesting. I just didn't know he'd make it that confusing.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Any additional comments or questions from commission?
Okay.
Comments or questions from the public during this public hearing? I see none. I will then be allowed to declare this public hearing closed, and then I get to do this.
Close.
Commissioners, you have before you several items of communication from staff regarding various ordinances and resolutions. Does someone wish to make a motion to accept these communications?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded without objection. The motion will be approved, and hearing no objection, the motion is approved. The next order of business is our consent agenda items, of which there are 7, A through G. Commissioners, are there any consent agenda items that you would like removed and placed on the regular agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I think we have to move E, don't we? No? How's the answer?
Commissioner Poole, I think we could probably deal with that question under discussion, during the discussion portion of the agenda items. We'll have a thorough
Okay.
discussion of that.
Okay, I'm just procedure, I'm happy if you are.
Mrs. Cresser, would you present the items on the consent agenda?
Yes, sir. Under the consent agenda this evening, we have, the first item is the adoption of the calendar year 2018 tax budget. Item B is an amendment to the city's open housing code related to fair housing. Item C is authorization to accept a CDBG entitlement grant for program year 2017 and 2018, and authorization to submit the fiscal year 2017 one-year action plan to HUD offices. Item D is the purchase of 15 Dell tablets for both the police and fire departments. Item E is approval of amendment number 3 to the 2017 appropriations ordinance. Item F is an easement agreement for stormwater drainage purposes for property located at 216 East Water Street. And the last item is a transfer of a liquor permit to Sandusky Hospitality Incorporated, doing business as South Shore Inn, 2047 Cleveland Road.
Thank you, Mr. Cresser. Would someone like to make a motion concerning the consent agenda items?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waddington.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda items A, B, C, D, E, F, G as presented to the City Commission under consent agenda and shall take effect in accordance with the section reflected in ordinances and/or resolutions, whether it be in accordance with Section 13 or Section 14 of the City Charter.
Second.
Commissioners, having heard the consent agenda items, is there any discussion?
Yes, the question that was asked.
Question regarding E? Mr. Soloway, can you expand on the question Mr. Schwanger asked for E?
So, just to remind everybody, at the May 22nd meeting, so the second meeting in May, we had a pretty lengthy conversation about why we were doing this and sort of the frequency of why we will be doing this. So I just, for those at home or for Tim, I would recommend you go back and look at the May 22nd meeting minutes just to kind of get an idea. So a lot of it, to go back to that, was more for the transparency purposes as far as our new financial software system, and it's putting up some blocks so people cannot just spend money that's not appropriated. And with the new financial software system, we've had some bumps making sure we get the right numbers appropriated into the right pots, into the right funds. So what you'll see tonight's, so I'll talk a little bit about tonight's agenda, what you'll see on there. For example, I don't know if it was the last meeting or 2 meetings ago, we had a $15,000 donation from the Stein Foundation to purchase a Lucas 3.0 chest compression system. Great example of something not budgeted for. It's not budgeted, the budget's zero. Well, we have funds in the bank, have revenue to spend, so now we need to appropriate the $15,000 or 14 and some change to purchase the equipment. Lincoln Street, water sewer project, another project that was on the docket and just, I believe, approved last meeting. Same thought process. Not exactly sure what the engineer's estimate, what the numbers would be. Now that we have that, we're just appropriating funds to spend for that project. Some of the pluses and minuses you'll see for the Sandusky Bay Initiative Grant, that was the $1 million grant we received from ODNR. Initially, we thought that was 100% for non-payroll expenses. As we've gotten into the grant, we've learned through engineering that there's a small portion that we can use for payroll-related expenses, so for our staff time. So all we're doing there is making a budget adjustment. The net's zero, but it's to move about $25,000 out of the non-payroll to payroll, so we can charge our staff time to it and draw the grant money on it. And then similar with the Recreation Department, Victoria was able to secure either some CDBG funds or some outside funds to cover some of her seasonal help for the recreation program. So the money she had budgeted to use for seasonals for $10,000 will not be used, and she wanted to reallocate it, I guess, from payroll to non-payroll, so to use the money for supplies rather than spending it on people. And then we had some carryover funds for issue 8. As you're all aware, we have another report to kind of go back to the transparency. I didn't mention that. We have the issue 8 reports online. You'll see that those accounts were funded as budgeted, but they were not all spent last year. So all we're doing is appropriating some of those funds that were not used last year, so they'll be spent this year.
Very good.
Does that help?
Very good. Excellent. Commissioners, any additional questions? Discussion on the consent agenda items?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Poole?
I don't have any questions, but all of that information that he just gave us, it would be helpful if we had that on the front end so that we understood what this means. This is a chart that says personal services, other, and total. From what he's described is information that we should have or know if we're gonna manage this budget, if we need to know what's going on. So I'm not sure how you do that, but personal services, other, and total has no meaning. As you can hear from what he said, there's a lot involved in this. That's all. I just would have liked to, in the future, if we would get that little bit of detail.
I agree.
Obviously, he knew it. so
Commissioner
it
Poole, I
comes
agree.
over.
There is an enormous amount of detail that goes into the kind of reports that we're often given. And for us to get into the minutia of those things is certainly our obligation oftentimes. And I agree, we can, any time that we can make it more transparent, and I think our treasurer does a great job of making 99.9% of these issues as transparent as can be, but we will always strive to improve on that.
Yes. Thank you, sir. This is not about minutia. What he just gave in a very brief period of time was all that we needed. So I'm not asking for minutia.
Thank you.
But I'm looking at a bunch of numbers that have no value or meaning whatsoever without any context to it, that's all. Thank you.
Mr. Dresser, will you poll the commissioners on the motion?
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd? Yes. Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Now on the ordinances and resolutions.
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd? Yes. Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
These ordinances and resolutions are approved and adopted. Mr. Dresser, I'd ask that the record clearly show that the vice mayor of the city of Sandusky has navigated his way through the consent agenda.
Second.
That's one of my goals of this evening. Getting to the regular agenda, Mr. Dresser, you present item number 1 on the regular agenda.
Yes, item number 1A, the first ordinance is authorizing a facade grant in the amount of $7,500 to Warehouse Properties LLC in relation to the property located at 216 East Water Street and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, you've heard this communication. How do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
I
Waddington.
move for the adoption of this ordinance, item 1A, under suspension of rules in full accordance to section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
There has been a motion and a second. Discussion, commissioners? Mr. Lasko, are you in a position to make a clarity on this issue for us?
Yes, Mr. President, members of the commission, I'll pinch hit for Maria tonight. And if so inclined, I may try to do the presentation from my seat for the sake of being lazy, if that's okay.
That's fine with us.
All right, perfect. I do want to acknowledge Bob Hare, who is here this evening. He is the owner of Warehouse Properties, who is the applicant for the grant funding and proposed recipient of the grant funds. I think Mr. Hare's track record speaks for itself with his downtown development, first with his personal residence, then later on with his properties in the 200 block of East Water, which we know house Zinc, Hearth, and recently Boomtown, which is great. He is in the process of looking to renovate 216 East Water, which is about an 8,000, 9,000 square foot warehouse adjacent to his personal residence that also bring CrossFit Sandusky across town to be a tenant in the back of the property. And the back of the property is very important because it's very visible rear of the property that backs up to a city-owned parking lot, the Wayne Street parking lot. He is proposing to do about $125,000 interior and exterior renovation that would include new utility and lighting improvements, building repairs, concrete enhancement in the interior of the facility, since it is going to be a CrossFit facility, bath and shower facilities. The facade and site improvements that would be occurring would be a new entrance off the Wayne Street parking lot, exterior masonry, wall improvements, new windows, and exterior lighting. This is the current southern facade of the property, and also a portion of the western facade, which at the moment shows to be a very closed up warehouse property that again is very visible from the public right-of-way and public parking lot. This is a proposed rendering of what that rear elevation, south elevation would look like, where you see those window thresholds being opened up and new entry doors to bring additional light and aesthetics to that facility. This is sort of an aerial that shows the two red lines represent the sort of two facades that these, at least exterior enhancements would be undertaken on, in addition to the interior improvements. The proposed budget, again, all in, is $125,000 interior and exterior. And the sources proposed are $22,500 in owner equity, $80,000 in a private loan, and then two separate grants, both a $7,500 facade grant and a $15,000 small business assistant grant to assist with the interior build out of the facility, which equates in total to about 18% city commitment for the project. Both of these grants were approved at the Economic Development Incentive Committee meetings in April and May of this year. So again, the proposal is for two grants totaling $22,500 to be approved for warehouse properties for this project.
Thank you, Mr. Lasko. I know Mr. Hare is in the audience. Mr. Hare, would you like to address the commission? Would you make any comments regarding this project?
Appreciate the consideration, Commission. The building, when I purchased it, was not an option to not purchase. That building shared utilities with the building that ultimately became our residence. So I inherited basically what you saw in the pictures. In fact, I think I actually did a little work to try to improve those panelings, the panel that covered the old windows. The old window frames are gone. The inside is pretty decrepit, and like I said, the 3/4 of the concrete needs to be replaced just because of how old it is and some of the water damage from outside. So we're also putting in tile drainage system inside and outside the foundation to try to control that infiltration of water so that we can keep the place dry and make it look a lot better. So appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Lasko or Mr. Hare?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Waddington.
Just thank you. Another brick for downtown, that's good. Rebuild. Maybe Woolworths will come back someday. Just kidding. I think it's great.
Thank you, Commissioner Waddington. For those of you that don't know, most of you probably do, when you see work being done around that neighborhood, whether it's at Mr. Hare's residence or across the street, one of the 3 or 4 guys doing the work is Mr. Hare. So he truly has what we all call sweat equity into this project, and thank you for your investment in the city. This is what this is about. This is what our city wants to be about, and we are pleased to have an opportunity to take some tax dollars and leverage that into something bigger and better for all of us and for yourself and for our community too.
I can say that not only invested in the city, but I'm invested.
You are, truly you are. Mr. Dresser, will you poll the commission?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Poole?
Yeah, first I'd like to say it's a great project. I'm very, very happy to see it come to fruition. But I do want to point out that we not forget that we have the parking lot adjacent to it is city property, as is the one on the west side of Citizens Bank. And we need to allocate some funds. If we're going to bring up all the buildings downtown, I should say if we're going to have the property owners bring up all their buildings, we have a responsibility to follow through and sooner than later take care of our stuff.
We have to do our share too.
The parking lots should be high priority, I believe. Hopefully we can get some support for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Poole.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Lloyd.
Mr. Hare, thank you very much for all your investment. You are a fantastic addition to downtown, so it's good to have you as a neighbor.
Any additional comments or questions? Mr. Dresser, will you poll the commission on the motion?
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd? Yes. Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
That ordinance passes. Mr. Presser, would you please read item number 1B?
Yes, item 1B is an ordinance authorizing and approving a small business assistance grant in the amount of $15,000 to Warehouse Properties LLC in relation to the property located at 216 East Water Street, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, have you heard this communication? How do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Lloyd.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance and the suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding item B, or do you feel we've discussed it enough? Commissioners. Ms. Presser, will you poll the commission on the motion, please?
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
That ordinance passes. Ms. Presser, will you present item number 2, please?
Yes, item 2 is an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to approve a first amendment to the agreement with T&M Associates of Cleveland, Ohio for professional environmental services in conjunction with the U.S. EPA Brownfields grants received from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, you've heard this communication. How do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Twine.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance under the suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Commissioners, prior to the discussion, I would ask Mr. Klein to enlighten us as to what exactly we're doing here.
Sir, through Mr. President, to the commissioners and the residents, August of last year, we received $400,000 of US EPA brownfields money. At that time, 391 of that was available for consultant services to perform phase 1s, sample plans, phase 2s, remedial action plans, those types of things. We tried something a little bit different where we contracted 2 consulting firms. The first one was Manick & Smith Group. That contract was for $195,000. The second contract was with T&M, and we only did a $60,000 contract with them because during the consultant selection process, one of their key members switched firms. So we wanted to make sure, even though they ranked second, we wanted to make sure that we were still comfortable with the work that they had done. Now, having the 2 consultants, it allows us to get prices from each of them throughout the contract. And during that process, T&M performed site eligibility, phase 1 asbestos survey, sample plan, and phase 2 at the American Cran property for $52,700, which only leaves just under $8,000 remaining on their contracts. What we'd like to do, of that $136,000 remaining, we'd like to give them or allocate another $100,000 onto their contract, giving us an opportunity to look to both consultants again for pricing when these properties do come up. Now, one thing that I would like to say is that we have spent over $70,000 total analyzing 3 properties to date, and we have others that we're looking into potentially analyzing. So that's $70,000 that's being saved through the city's general fund budget by doing these and having T&M and MSG do these.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Klein? Mr. Klein, you and I have had this discussion on numerous occasions, and I credit you with the theory and the strategy of having always having competing engineering companies. I think it serves the taxpayer well when we do that. I think one of the big things that cities and counties and every kind of government gets into, the big trouble they get into, is when they consistently are using one company. It becomes too cozy of a relationship, and I applaud you for developing this strategy and I encourage you to stay with that strategy. I think we get the best value for our dollar when we can constantly, when those engineers can constantly feel like they have to be competitive, just like we have to be competitive in the real world, in the real marketplace. So thank you for implementing that. Any further discussion, Commissioners? Mr. Presser, will you poll the commission on the motion, please?
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Now on the ordinance.
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Mr. Presser, you present item number 3, please.
Yes, item number 3 is an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into a professional services and sub-grant agreement with Thoth Infrastructure and Environment LLC of De Pere, Wisconsin for the Sandusky Bay Initiative Area Number 1 and 2 projects, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this communication, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Lloyd.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance under the suspension of the rules and in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Prior to discussion, this again falls in your department, Mr. Klein. If you tell us what you know about this item.
3, Mr. President. If you don't mind, I'd like to address items 3 and 4 briefly. So both of these consultant selections are for the Sandusky Bay Initiative, which was that $1 million that was presented to the city at the State of the State address through the Healthy Lake Erie Fund. The money is set up to perform analysis, design, investigation, and engineering of up to 4 projects. As you'll see on these 2, the first areas 1 and 2 are for $650,000 for Thoth, and area 3 is almost $250,000 for biohabitats. That totals right around $900,000. That leaves about $100,000 left for a 4th project when we start talking about that project with ODNR. So what all 4 of those projects and the 3 that are on the agenda in particular are designed to do are for beneficial reuse of dredge material, improve wildlife habitat, fish habitat, birding habitats, nature-based shorelines, wetlands. One of the things that ODNR realized was that we've done a lot of work in the watersheds, we've done a lot of work in the lake, but we've never done much along the coast. So these projects are designed to improve that area along the coast that can help the nutrient reduction as well with the phosphorus and nitrogens. Project area number 1 would be located west of the Sandusky coal docks, right along the mouth of Cold Creek. We're still trying to develop the east and west boundaries of it, but that's the general area. Project number 2 would be south of Cedar Point along the Causeway. And project number 3, which is item number 4 on the agenda, would be in the East Bay, doing an analysis of the majority of the East Bay, but mostly from about the Sports Force facility over easterly towards the Chasse entrance off Cleveland Road. So with that, I believe that covers both items.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Klein? Mr. Presser, will you poll the commission on item 3's motion?
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
That ordinance passes. Mr. Presser, will you provide us a description of item number 4?
Item number 4 is an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into a professional services grant agreement with Biohabitats Incorporated of Baltimore, Maryland for the Sandusky Bay Initiative Area Number 3 project, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, you've heard this communication. How do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waddington.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance under suspension of rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Commissioners, do you have any further discussion after Mr. Klein's thorough explanation of items 3 and 4? Cresser, will you poll the commission on the motion, please?
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
That ordinance passes. Mrs. Cresser, will you present item number 5, please?
Yes, item 5 is an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into a contract with Ed Perdue and Company of Sandusky, Ohio for the demolition and asbestos abatement of the former American Crayon Facility project and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, you've heard this communication. How do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Twine.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance and the suspension of the rules in full accordance with section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
There has been a motion and a second. Commissioners, would you like to discuss this ordinance? I would only say, Mr. Lasko, that it is about time.
Yeah.
Thank you for your diligence on this. It is painful. I think it's painful for each of us to part with $150,000 to ingratiate our former demo person. But I think this is the right thing to do. And I think it cost us very little in the scheme of things to do what I think was the right thing to do and to give him an additional 6, 7, 8 months. You've got a good contractor lined up for the demolition now. I know you have a completion date, and I know that that contractor will fulfill his obligation. And once and for all, we will be rid of what is undeniably the largest piece of blight in this city. So thank you for your efforts on that. Mrs. Cresser, will you poll the commission on the motion, please?
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Ms. Twine?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Brings us to the city manager's report, and there is an empty chair where our city manager sits. We have an acting city manager to my right in Chief Orzak. I will ask Mr. Orzak to present the city manager's report.
Good evening, commissioners and audience and those at home. The first items are donations. We have 2 for the fire department. One is a $50 donation from the Sandusky Memorial Day Committee for the Sandusky Fire Department's involvement at the Memorial Day Parade. And the second is a $250 donation from Platinum Restoration Contractors, Inc., for the Sandusky Fire Department's 5K run and walk event.
So
Ask for a
moved.
motion.
Oh, we have a motion and a second. All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
And the 2 other donations for the police department. The first one is a $75 donation for the Sandusky Memorial Day Association for the police department's participation. And the second is 5 $20 Kroger gift cards that were received from an anonymous donor that would like us to purchase ice cream and our officers to distribute to the parks program that we had done last year. So need a motion for both of those.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is approved.
Thank you. For the police, the bike patrol started this past week. We're going to have officers out at random times throughout the summer. Most of their focus is going to be on the neighborhood initiative areas, community events, and the parks programs. So you'll see the officers out on the bikes. The fire department will be hosting a 5K run walk on Saturday, July 1st. Proceeds from the race will benefit the Firefighters Charity Shoe Fund. Registration forms can be picked up at Sandusky Fire Department main station on Market Street and can also be found on the city's website. The Finance Department's 2016 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report is on schedule to be filed with the Government Finance Office Association by June 30th, 2017 deadline. On Public Works, the new carbon feed system was successfully tested at Big Island at high feed rates as outlined in our harmful algal bloom treatment optimization protocols. that was previously submitted to Ohio EPA. This demonstrates that the water plant is now capable of effectively responding to a large algal bloom if necessary. Congratulations to Brian Klein, who was promoted to Maintenance 3 at the Water Distribution Center. Community Development, the funds for the Housing Development and Beautification programs for program year 2017 have been fully committed. Staff expects to continue this program again in 2018. For the remainder of 2017, applications for properties within the designated model blocks will be the only applications accepted. The designated model blocks will be unveiled in July as part of the Sandusky 2018 Neighborhood Initiative. The regular Planning Commission meeting will be held Wednesday, June 28th at 4:30 in the first floor conference room. The regular Board of Zoning Appeals meeting is scheduled for July 15th at 4:30 in the conference room. And the public hearing regarding recreational vehicles that was scheduled for Wednesday, June 28th has been canceled. Please note the regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting will still be held. And on the public service, recent promotions for Matt Weinman. He has been promoted from the Building Maintenance Division to the new Maintenance 2 at Oakland Cemetery. Brian Camp has been promoted to a Maintenance 3 in the Grounds Maintenance Division. Scott James has been promoted to Construction Foreman in the Building Maintenance Division. Lions Park and Heron Splash Pads are both operational 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., weather permitting, until Labor Day. And the buoys have been placed off of Lions Park Beach, marking the submerged pier. Thank you to SFD for the help in placing the buoys. My report's done at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Chief Borzak. This is the point in time when I would give the commission an opportunity to grill the city manager on his report. But because you only read that city manager's report, I think it would be unfair to allow these commissioners to roast you. So I will ask commission their indulgence to perhaps ask the questions of city manager Whoopster either via email or wait till he gets back. Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
Thank you. We move now to old business. Anyone have any items of old business you'd
Mr.
like to
Chairman.
share this? Commissioner.
I got one thing. You was with me on Saturday, our cleanup at the Whiteman Weaver Park in the neighborhood area. Again, we're getting a lot of stuff dumped on us. We had part of a bathroom there, and I'm guessing some ceiling debris and construction material that was just dumped at the site. We've had, as Chief knows, the piano in the back out in the west end, correct? We had them on video. I would like, I don't know what else we can do. It seems like every time we do a cleanup, we're finding more and more debris. I don't know if it's, they have no way to get to the county landfill or it's at the cost of it, but I wish some way we could raise fines. There's got to be something beyond what we're doing now to prevent this illegal dumping. It's just getting nuts.
Commissioner White and I agree. We spend a few hours together every once in a while on Saturday, and the topic typically turns to, we don't mind picking up litter, but for us to be hauling away partitions from homes and siding and roofing material is asking a little much. I think the way that we deal with that is exactly the same way we dealt with the illegal dumping that went on at our recycling centers. We have to make a commitment to prosecute those kind of things when we find them, and that doesn't mean we're going to put a police officer there, but we have technologies available. I believe that we should appropriate some dollars to spend on technology if this continues to be a problem, and at least the threat of that technology may help us prevent some of those items. The bags that we're carrying to throw litter away, we can't get a bathroom partition in those bags.
Right. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion then that we get 4 new cameras that with the police or whoever, maybe code enforcement could rotate around in our problem areas, because MacArthur Park area was another one. You saw what we picked up out there. It's just.
Commissioner Whiting, would it be more appropriate to investigate the cost of that prior to?
I'll do that, just so we can get some kind of movement going forward, if we could do that, what they would cost.
We have a motion. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
To be clear, that motion is to examine the cost of 4 remote cameras at various sites. And we'll find out what we're going to spend in those prior to spending it.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Poole?
in addition to that, we already have cameras in use currently, correct?
We do.
Could we, along with the legislation, get a little report that shows the success we've had with the cameras up to now? From
Activity, those
start to finish, activity, what the police have done, what the outcome has been as we've prosecuted. We should put that up on the screen so we can see what we're doing, and that kind of justifies its expenditure.
I think
it's a good expenditure.
I think that's reasonable, Commissioner Poole, and I think that also can be a deterrent, the fact that we're taking those kind of steps. We have a motion, we have a second.
I second.
Ms. Cruster, will you call the roll?
Ms.
On
Klein?
the motion.
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd? Yes. Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
That motion is passed. Any other additional items of old business?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lockhart?
I'd like to say thank you to all the staff that showed up to the Hancock Block meeting, or Hancock Corridor meeting last Thursday. Mr. Lasko was there, Talon Floor, and Greg Volz, and some others. We had roughly around 40 people there at the meeting, which included people from the business community, the churches and nonprofits and residents, all in the area, very excited about moving forward with improving the Hancock Corridor. And some of the things we discussed were public art, planters and public gardens and things along that nature. And so moving forward, we're looking at something that Talon Florida is planning, a big neighborhood improvement day coming up in August, where we're certainly looking for volunteers. I'm looking at you, in case you want to volunteer and come out.
I'll be there.
All right. And the block party on Hancock will be on August 20th, so that'll be a nice addition. And speaking of cameras, it might not be a bad idea to explore or research cameras on Hancock as well, to make sure that we have a safe and secure area too to walk along that whole corridor. So that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Lockhart. Any additional old business? Moving to new business. Any items of new business the commission would like to raise?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waddington.
I'd like you to tell us about next Monday at 10 o'clock, since you're going to be part of it, and I hope all the commissioners are there.
Commissioner Waddington and Commissioner Murray once again have hooked Commissioner Brady into another opportunity to advance the care and protection of the Great Lakes. On July the 3rd at, I believe it's 10 a.m., we're going to participate in a program called All Hands on Deck for the love of our Great Lakes. And very simply put, that program that we're going to participate in is going to be a outpouring of people that are concerned and care about the potential defunding of the Great Lakes Initiative. We believe, I believe, Mayor Murray believes, Commissioner Waddington believes, Commissioner Twine believes, Commissioner Lloyd believes, and I think all of us hopefully believe that this transcends a political issue or political statement. I understand that the health and care and cleanliness of the Great Lakes has a lot to do with our economic survival in this area. And I'm willing to wear a T-shirt or march in a parade or effectively get our arms around this problem if we can do that on July the 3rd. Are we going to change the world on July the 3rd? No. But we are going to send a signal that we care about these Great Lakes, and we are going to hopefully send a signal that any diminishing of funding in the Great Lakes would be detrimental not just to our world, not just to our country, but detrimental to our city, Sandusky, Ohio. So that's where we'll be at 10 a.m., July the 3rd, at Shoreline Park. And I encourage all of you to join us. Any other comments? Great. Any other items of new business? No items of new business. That brings us to audience participation on any issue that relates to our city. Please state your name and address for the record.
Sharon Johnson, 1139 Fifth Street. I'd like to know what the carryover funds were for issue 8. I'd like to know the total sum and what was the breakdown on, I think there's 3 categories in issue 8. If you could tell me that.
It's on the issue 8 report.
Ms. Johnson, I think we had that information.
It's online on the report.
It's online on the
Yep.
report, yes.
Yep, it'll show that
And
in balance.
and that was
beginning
actually
balance.
shared with us at the finance meeting, I believe, on Friday.
Correct.
How do you, is it under where the minutes are or
It
what?
would be under the finance page, so where the finance committee stuff is, you know, where the monthly reports are, there's a little section there that's issue 8 reports. So it'll have,
Okay, if I have trouble with it,
it's the April report. If you can't find it, let me know and I'll email it to you, so.
Okay. The second was the Planning Commission. There was a public hearing that was canceled, and that's been widely publicized. And I'm wondering, there's great interest in this, and people were going to show up anyways at the Planning Committee to kind of voice their opinion. Can they still show up even though there's not a public hearing, or what's the deal on that?
Ms. Johnson, you're saying you'd like to show up even though there's not a hearing, you just want to show up?
People, the public hearing has been canceled, but people were planning on showing up anyways. They still would like to make their comments even though it's been canceled. They can't do that? You're shaking your head, Nikki? No?
I don't know that during the presentation, there'll be an opportunity for that.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Poole.
I think what she's looking for is an explanation, like, why was it canceled, and what's gonna happen to the hearing? Are you gonna have it later, and is that not what you wanna know, what's going on with the concept, since
They
you
just
wanted to
would,
speak to it?
they've already planned to come to this meeting anyways, and now you're canceling on them. And I think they want to know if they can still make their comments. Would that be right to do that, or are you going to close them off if they show up?
Ms. Bonington, I wonder if you could address that issue for us.
Yes, through you, thank you. Yeah, we were asked to pull the public hearing for this next meeting. We don't have great consensus yet from the Planning Commission, and so we were asked to pull it. So we did put something in the paper so that people will be notified. Anybody that has contacted us directly throughout this process, we have told them, if we have their contact information, that there will not be a public hearing. That public hearing will be rescheduled at a later time. We don't have that date set at this point. And as far as can the public speak at that meeting in regard to that issue, I would defer to Mr. Hayberger in regard to could it be under old business, but there will not be a public hearing, so I don't know that it would be proper to bring that up during the meeting.
Mr. Haber.
Thank you. I would agree with Ms. Byington. I mean, there's a reason why it's a hearing. You're not going to piecemeal it out, so you would want to have everyone there giving their testimony at the same time. Once we advertise that it's not going to be a hearing, and then we do allow people to show up and give testimony, there'll be people at home going, well, if they were going to give testimony, I would have came. So I think it's best, if it is canceled, to remain canceled.
I'm going to agree with our law department and follow his direction. I don't believe that there's any sleight of hand going on here, Mrs. Johnson. I believe the hearing was canceled because they did not have a consensus. And I believe that going forward, there will be a public hearing, and that would be the appropriate time for people to make their comments. Otherwise, you're going to have people that are going to make their comments, you're going to have people that are going to get left out making their comments. So I think it'll be more effective for those that really wish to comment on this to do it in a truly in a public hearing.
Yeah, because I'm hearing that they wanted to come anyways and just, throw stuff off against the wall or whatever,
Yeah.
So it would probably be confusing then.
I agree with you. I think it would be confusing.
Okay, so everybody knows that they won't be allowed to speak on that then.
But at some point, there will be a public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Brady? Through you, I would just like to say that if anybody has comments that they want to give us, they can email me directly or stop into City Hall or call the planning department. I mean, we're still taking comments. We just won't be having the public hearing.
There's always a route to staff. Good point. Thank you.
Woodley McCarty, 628 East Adams Street. I've had some health problems since the last time I was before you. Had a stroke. First of all, I'd like to say, after Hancock Street Garden, Talon, thank you very much. You have accomplished something that I've been trying to do for the last 10 years, a garden on Hancock Street for the people. Mr. Lockhart, you can't put cameras everywhere. You never had cameras on Hancock Street? We don't need cameras there now. We got good people living on Hancock Street. You offended some of them when you went down there and tried to take over Hancock Street Block Party as a political thing. We are a community. Police and ourselves, we, along with the police department, changed Hancock Street. It was a drug-infested neighborhood. What it is today is because the community came together and made it that way. Please, don't make our block party a political event. We're pleased that the city jumped on board and finally recognized us and tried to help us out and do something for the community. We need this. I can't say enough about it. And on East Adams Street, as you know, my garden is, like I say, booming. I've created a park there. On the corner there's a park. We call it a reflection park. There's a pool. There's fire pit. There's running water. There's a place there for you can come in and sit under the shade tree. Sit down and relax and enjoy yourself. I even got a barbecue pit in case you want to cook something. I'll help eat. There's the garden there. Like every year I've grown for the last 5 years, a garden that'll feed the community. Everything in that garden I plant come out of my pocket. I put it back into the community. Nothing is sold. Nothing is ever sold. That's what I want the community down there on Hancock Street to be. Nothing is to be sold off the garden on Hancock Street. It's to be given back to the people. That's why I started it. That's why I'm letting it to be. As a co-founder of the Hancock Street Block Party, you didn't know. Nobody approached me about this. Yes, I was offended. Like you came down and tried to take over something that we have created. Mr. Bleedy Lofty, matriarch of the Hancock Street Block Party, was given an opportunity to come and join forces with the city. But after so many years of being disappointed, she gave up. But there was someone there to pick up the ball. We're glad that happened. We commend that. Fire department, get ready. Police department, get ready. 4th of July. My brother's birthday, East Adams Street Block Party. I'm inviting everybody there because I know only one person show up, Chief Forzak. He shows up every year. God bless you. Dave Watkins may show up there to put a hand on him sometime. That's hold a rock.
I got a question for you.
Come on with it.
Is the medicine wheel going to be up over at your park this year?
The medicine wheel is already up, Dave.
Can you tell Mr. Brady about that sometime?
It's a long story, but I have you holding hands too. But God bless you.
Thank you.
I'm going to invite all of you over. And please, keep my block party as a block party for the community. No politics, guys. Come in and ready to enjoy yourself.
Thank you, Mr. McCarty, for your comments. And I want you to know that there is not a time that I don't drive down Meg Street going south to north that I don't look for your garden.
God bless you.
And it is something to be proud of in this community. I look for it every time I go down that street.
That's what it's there for. Make you proud.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Any additional audience comments?
Thank you, Mayor, for the day. Timothy A. Schwanger, 362 Sheffield Way. Just to be clear, back on one of the agenda items, the 216 East Water Street, that's where the developer's paying for the project, and we are reimbursing him. Is that how that's working? All right, perfect. Thank you. There's a new Mexican restaurant, and I'm not going to mention the name because I don't know the name of it, on Columbus Avenue, 150th block, that has added a fenced-in seating area, we presume, because they're going to be selling alcohol, or they are selling alcohol. The concern is that the fenced-in area, there's a tree in front of the fenced-in area that looks like it's much less than 4 feet in an opening, which is probably ADA requirements. There's conversation on Facebook right now, what's going to win, the fence or the tree? okay? Reminding, we're a tree city, okay? And this is not, I don't think, a dead, dying, dangerous tree, so let's hope that the fence gets moved, okay? I have a picture, you've probably all seen it, it's circulating on Facebook, you know, which I didn't start. I'm not, you know, I don't start rumors, I just spread them, okay? I don't, so, you know, so I'm sure some of you folks that are on Facebook have seen it.
Mr. Schwanger, our law department is aware of that issue, and that is where that issue is at right now. We're going to be dealing with that. I've seen the same picture. I've seen it in person.
Okay. I guess my question would be, though, is how does it get to this point where we have to go back and revisit this? I mean, when they must apply for permits, they must be made aware of the 4-foot, you know, requirements. Is it a situation where they just say, okay, we're going to do this anyway, and if nobody complains about it, then we're good? Am I serious? I mean, I'm serious. I'm being serious.
I think because it is in the law department's hands, I think it would be inappropriate for any of us to comment, but I just want you to know that we don't turn a blind eye to those things. We will not turn a blind eye to them. That issue will be dealt with.
Okay. Last comment has to do with the waterfront, and I'm changing my hats as president of Save Our Shoreline Parks. We did the Washington Street Pier Saturday morning. We had 6 people down there helping out. We did not finish the project because we underestimated the material we need. I'm not a contractor guy. I'm not a concrete kind of guy. So they left me in charge of estimating, which was the wrong thing to do. Okay, but we intend to get it finished. If I have to do it myself, we hope to finish that up before the 4th of July because that pier is packed for the 4th of July. And we had people come by. We were done at like 11 o'clock. Had people coming by thanking us for doing this. One guy came down, he's handicapped, he pulls his fishing gear, whatever else he uses, with one of those shopping carts that you see. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't see them very often, but you still see people using them. He said, I've gone through 4 sets of wheels in 5 years on that thing. So this is a great project, he said. Thank you very much. He couldn't thank us enough. Hopefully, with the East Bay Vision Plan, hopefully there will be plans for that pier long-term to fix it. It was built in 1933, WPA days, and nothing, well, there's been a little bit of work done on it from the Sailing Club. They've done a little bit of work on it, but it's going to need some major repairs. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schwanger, for taking on that project. I know you were part of Team Home Depot or got them involved in it, and
yes.
Thank you.
And I'm going to tell you something. I'm a firm believer, if I'm going to be critical of these people here, you can't just be critical. You got to get involved in the process. And I've prided myself on doing that for 30-some years since I've been coming down here when this chambers was over here where the clerk of courts is located. So, you know, we've always been involved. We enjoy being involved, no matter how much grief I get. And I understand either you hate us or you love us. And I look at the people that hate us, that's one less Christmas present I got to buy for Christmas. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks. Any additional audience participation? I guess not. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Good job.